Guys, this Shirley Jackson collection, well, it just gets weirder and weirder the longer we go, doesn't it? Now, welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Aaron Ford, and we are here for another short story discussion, which will appear in 3 separate playlists here on the channel. Number 1 being the short story discussion playlist, uh, approaching 200 videos slowly but surely. Number 2 being a short story by short story read along for Let Me Tell You by Shirley Jackson. New stories, essays, and other writings, and also the Shirley Jackson playlist here on the channel. An author so underappreciated, I figure I better go out of my own way, in order to shine whatever light I have in whatever beacon I hold on Shirley Jackson. Truly. Now, when I say underrated, look, this is not, we did the Chrysanthemums this month by John Steinbeck. I think that is one of the greatest examples of what a short story can do, right? But here's the thing. I don't know if you're a sports fan, but even if you're not, I think you can understand what I'm about to say. Quarterback in football, the guy who throws the ball. There's 2 real kinds of quarterbacks. There's guys who run around. Sometimes they run with it. Sometimes they run then throw. And there's guys who stand back there like a statue and they just pick the right receiver and deliver the ball. They're both quarterbacks. They can both win Super Bowls. They can both be very good. They can both go to the Hall of Fame. The Chrysanthemums is the standard quarterback, that statuesque guy standing back there with the ball who just places it on the right receiver. Shirley Jackson is a scrambling quarterback. Shirley Jackson is taking what can be done with a short story versus necessarily what the definitive short story should do. And a lot of that is the way that she employs, you might even say deploys, her imagination. So this video will have 3 different sections: a So What Happened recap of the short story, a literary criticism section where we talk about the literary goings-on in this short story, and number 3, a writer's corner, for which I do have one talking point, but I think it might be kind of a question. I think it might be my fault as opposed to something that was done deliberately in the story, but I think that it's something worth talking about anyhow. So, what happened? There is a friend for the lady of the house, a friend visitor. Suddenly, that woman, that friend's, the woman, so there's the woman visiting. The woman who she is visiting, her daughter comes home. And she has to explain to the daughter, our speaker has to explain to the daughter that they knew each other. She and her mother knew each other when they were both children. And the daughter takes a minute, soaks that in, and then tells her that she has a boyfriend. He delivers ice. He's 33, and he delivers ice. Our speaker is startled because the girl's 8 years old. How could she have a 33-year-old ice delivery boyfriend? And she tries to keep the conversation moving. The daughter, she says, she can't stand boys her own age. Our speaker tells her that she and the other girls used to ride on the ice trucks when they were her age, but they didn't date the drivers. This conversation goes on for a little bit, and then the daughter character decides, upon the emergence of her mother from the bedroom, she needs to go. So the mother, the speaker's friend, comes down the stairs and lauds her daughter. What is the final line here? Our speaker says that her daughter is such a sweet child, and the mother responds, "And clever too," murmured her mother, and then to me gaily, "But you, my dear, how are you?" So that is what we have in this short story. And quite frankly, I'm tempted after this last 2 short story run, the short story just before this, what was it called? The New Maid, in this short story. I'm tempted to just shrug my shoulders and tell you I have no idea. I don't know anymore. I'm done. I have no idea. But I think there are some things we're talking about here, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do with it. Like I said, this is nearly 200. Well, we're approaching, I think, 150, but 200 short stories on the channel writ large. There's 150-ish in this playlist. I've done 700 poetry discussions. I've got a lot of novel read-alongs and reviews on the channel. I almost always find something that I think maybe I'm not right about something, but I've got something to talk about. Guys, this one is rough. I do think that there is something to do with the fact that the moment the mother emerges, the daughter disappears. Is this a case of someone peeking into their own past? The speaker here saying, looking at the daughter and remembering her own childhood with the mother. The mother character in the story has some of her life explicated on the page. They lived in France. She's divorced. There's a couple other little details we have in there about her, I think, but I can't remember off the top of my head. And our speaker basically has nothing. Our speaker's a great big mystery. So I think there's something to do there. I just don't know what it is. 1,000% honest with you, I don't know what it is. I can't make anything of it. I can't make heads or tails of it. One talking point that could force interpretation here. The daughter has a boyfriend. She's 8 years old. She's dating a 33-year-old ICE delivery man. Do we believe her? It's possible. She's just making that up. And here's the thing. Here's the real interesting thing on a human level here. Well, if it is true, that is interesting in a completely different way. But one of the little verities, the little verisimilitudes that can leak into literature this way, if she's 8 years old and she's telling this woman about, oh, I'm dating a 33-year-old, he delivers ice, he takes me all over, all these things, she doesn't understand how ridiculous it sounds. So she's presenting it in this very confident manner, right? Not understanding how absolutely bonkers the words that are coming out of her mouth really are. I just think that is an extremely funny little moment, assuming that it's not true. But we do have to flip on that mechanism. Yes, no, is she reliable? I would tend towards believing she's not reliable. Otherwise, I hope her mother would be in hysterics. Now, if you have the same copy, page 75, they're talking about this, the speaker and the daughter. She's talking about, she says she used to ride on the ice wagons when she was a girl. That's what the girl tells our speaker. She did, I said. I used to ride on them with her. But I don't really recall our having any boyfriends among the drivers. We always felt that they were a little, well, old. I recall that we preferred younger men, say the boys we met in school. They're so puerile, she said. I jumped. I suppose they are, I said faintly. It's nice having a man around, she added, man in italics. Has your mother met him? No, she said, looking at me. You don't deliver ice to the front door. Where do you go to school? I asked desperately. I go to private school, she said. Her voice took on the lifelessness again. School is such a bore, she said. There's a lot of interesting things going on in that moment there. Number one, the daughter keeps throwing off our speaker by using the word puerile. She throws off the speaker when she mentions that she's dating an ice delivery man, despite the fact that 8 years old was at second grade. Lots of times she throws off our speaker, and this can be seen as she's an adult, right? Metaphorically, she's an adult. We are seeing a grown woman in an 8-year-old body because it is a metaphor for something. I never really got there. Maybe it's the fact that our speaker feels that she's let her whole life pass before her eyes and doesn't feel that she's established herself anywhere in her life. Remember, our speaker in this short story is basically completely absent. Doesn't really exist on the page. Now, another thing that I have to question here, is our speaker a friend? Is our speaker really a friend of mother, or is this a date? So, when I first read this short story, I thought that this was a gentleman caller, and we'll get back to that in the writer's corner portion. I got to I can't remember where it was, but there was some word somewhere made me realize, I read this wrong. And then I wanted to think about it. Mother is a divorcee. So she's single. We think. We have no reason. She is mentioned by her daughter as being divorced, not that she's in some other relationship. She is waiting. Our speaker is waiting at the beginning of the short story in the parlor or wherever we're at for the mother to come downstairs. She's waiting for the mother basically to get dressed. Is this common practice with friends, or is this someone you're trying to impress? And then we get this line from the daughter, which I think means something. It's nice having a man around. Well, if mother's just a divorcee, she could have men around. What if she prefers the company of women? Now, the next thing, the line I really didn't understand at first. It's nice having a man around, she said. Has your mother met him? No, she said, looking at me. You don't deliver ice to the front door. Is this... So, I think first reading, you're reading this as, no, she hasn't met him. You don't deliver ice to the front door. And I think that's a very valid reading of it. I think, however, you can also read this line in this way. Has your mother met him? No, she said, looking at me. You don't deliver ice to the front door. That you, instead of you don't deliver ice to the front door being the emphasis, you don't deliver ice to the front door. Is this our speaker, or is this the daughter calling out that the speaker here is not a man delivering ice to the front door is not in the loop for the judgment in this scenario? Is this the daughter questioning where she knows her mother from? We get a little bit of explanation. We knew each other when we were kids. That doesn't tell us what you're doing here right now. If this daughter is fabricating a relationship with an ice truck delivery man, she might think that it is the thing to do to date ice truck deliverymen. She might be pointing out to our speaker, it is ridiculous that my mother would date you because you are not an ice delivery man. It's a bit of a stretch, I know, but this short story is rough. To try to get, I don't think that this is a standardized short story. I don't think that it's clean shaven. I don't think that it is primped around the edges, right? All of these things that you might metaphorically say about a traditional type of short story. And I'm having a hard time getting my hands around anything here. The last thing here, 33. Always beware of the number 33. The mother is 33, or the speaker is 33. I can't remember. One of these characters is 33. 33 is the age that Jesus was when he was crucified. So if there is something being stated with that number here, I didn't get around to that either. So there's all of these things going on in this short story, and I feel bad. I can't come to you with anything, any clear, definitive take on this short story, but man, it was fun to read. Now, the writer's corner. Okay. I got to the very end of this short story before I realized that the speaker in this short story was a woman. I had seen the setup at the beginning, waiting in the parlor for a woman to come down, getting dressed, whatever. Figured that this was a man waiting on a woman. If you're reading this story assuming that it is a man waiting on a woman, none of the relationship stuff sticks out. Say it's the wrong way to read, say that it's bias, say whatever you want. I don't care. The moment that you're reading it and you realize, oh, I was wrong about a gender assumption in this short story, you have to go back and reread it. The first time I read it with that speaker as a male, I was assuming a lot of things into the text. When I went back and read that short story with the speaker as a female, I realized I might have been just reading those things into the text. Now, Shirley Jackson may have done this to us on purpose. Shirley Jackson may be putting us in those situations where we have to reconsider things and ask ourselves, why did you assume this? Why did you assume that? That is a very instigatory type of writing, but it's something that I think is very powerful if you can pull it off. It's something that I think is very useful to a writer that is trying to get personal analysis out of a reader. Forcing assumption, weaponize expectations. You have two characters in a situation. Now, I think that there's a very ham-fisted and maybe cheap way to do this. I don't get that from this short story at all. There are no inferences until the end of the short story where it comes out that our speaker is a woman. It's sort of like spoilers. The movie's 26 years old. The Sixth Sense. Once you realize, oh, that guy's dead, everything you saw before in the movie suddenly makes sense. We had assumed, because of every other movie that we've ever seen, that this was that way. Turns out it was not. The impact that that movie had at the time should be indicative of how powerful weaponizing a viewer's or reader's expectation really can be. That is all I have for this short story discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday, and I hope to have you back for the next one.